Have you ever been on a date from a dating app where the person looked nothing like their profile picture? Nothing? If that sounds familiar, welcome to my life as an investor. Because sometimes founders are just like bad dates. They say exactly what they think you want to hear. But when you see the reality behind the story, it's not quite the same picture. Not long ago, a founder pitched me a startup. He told me with so much passion and conviction about a German investor who believed in the company and had just invested at a high valuation. Someone from outside the local ecosystem? A foreign investor who had chosen to invest in an Israeli startup? Sounds objective and impressive, right? So I met with the founder and the investor, and I casually asked the investor, how did you guys meet? I was curious to know, how did a foreign investor come across such an investment opportunity? Turns out, the German investor and the founder are brothers. I felt betrayed. Now, technically, he did not lie. The brother did invest, and yes, they are of German descent. Some will say, this is how you tell a good story. This is how you win. You round the corners. It was not a lie, but it was as far as you can get from being authentic. And just like that, his whole story fell apart. Because once he lost my trust, it didn't matter how impressive the rest of his speech was. I did not believe a word he said. We live in a world where AI gets smarter by the minute. It becomes challenging to know what is real and what is not. Just last week, my son created a video with AI of me skydiving. It looked so real, I started wondering if I did jump off a plane last weekend or not. So in this world, your greatest superpower is neither storytelling nor charisma. It is actually authenticity. Founders think that if they polish the truth, they will impress investors. They'll exaggerate numbers, skip small details, or conveniently forget that their investor is also their brother. And it's not always with bad intentions. It's human nature. We all want to be liked. We all tell ourselves, it's not lying. It's just better framing. All the facts that I shared are actually true. I did look like that 20 years ago. Well, but now you don't. As an investor, I know your company will evolve. Products will change. Markets will shift. That's why I invest in the person behind the company. And if you're not authentic, the deal is off. But don't take my word for it. Research backs this up. A 2023 study found that when founders communicated with verbal authenticity, their odds of getting an investment went up significantly. The researchers analyzed close to 500 Shark Tank pitches. And guess what? Founders who came across as real, human, and trustworthy were up to 4.5 times more likely to walk out with a check. Turns out being real is not just good for your skin, it's good for your wallet too. So here are a few tips for me as an investor to you, not just for founders, but for everyone. First, be real. Don't try to perform. The majority of us are lousy actors, and people notice immediately when you try to beautify the truth. When people ask me what role I play on Shark Tank, I say, I don't play a role. I couldn't even if I wanted to. I'm not an actress. I'm just me, Yasmin. Due diligence yourself. Your subconscious might be setting you up to lose trust. Before you pitch to anyone, look inwards. Clean your story of any half-truths and self-deception. Be honest in your comparisons. When you do a competitive analysis, don't conveniently forget your strongest competitor just because it makes you look better. And skip the name dropping if it's not real. The world is small. When you leave the room, I might just text Peter Thiel or Ben Horowitz to ask about your meeting. If they have never heard of you, I will know. If you met someone from Elon Musk's team at a meetup, told them about your product, and they politely nodded, that does not mean logos and Tesla and SpaceX should be on your customer slide. Some of you might have noticed I just name dropped, but if it's real, it's okay. And the most important tip to me, Talk about your flaws. There is no such thing as perfect. We all have flaws. Even Superman has kryptonite. So if you don't tell me what your weaknesses are, I will look for them and I will find them. Founders always say, everything is amazing. We're crushing it big time. Well, we know this is not possible, and the only thing that will crush is my trust in you. If you show me your flaws, I could actually help you. Pretending everything is okay is like lying to your doctor when you go for a checkup. How can she help you that way? And always remember, being real doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. All these tips could be summed up in 2 words: integrity and authenticity. That's your real competitive edge. That is your superpower. Now let's see what happens when people are authentic. When we built Icon, an organization that bridges the Israeli and Silicon Valley tech ecosystems, we wanted to be there for our founders where they shine and where they struggle. In one of our gatherings, one of the founders opened up. He shared with the group of entrepreneurs that he was suffering from anxiety and depression. At first, the room went silent. I have never heard a founder talk openly about that. Then, something beautiful happened. One by one, others started sharing their own struggles, the stress, the sleepless nights. Because that's the good thing about authenticity. It's contagious. And when you show up real, people around you start showing up real too. That founder later told me it was a turning point for him. He recovered, led his company to a successful exit, and is now actually writing a book about his journey through depression. Because when you are authentic, when you let people see the truth, that's when they can reach out and show up for you. And it's not just about that one founder. I've lost count of the number of founders I was able to help just because they were honest with me, they were real with me. One day, a founder called me after losing her biggest customer. She didn't fake optimism. She just said, I need help. We met and refined her sales strategy. And within weeks, she had 2 new customers. That's the thing about authenticity. It turns panic calls into a progress meeting. People often compare the relationship between investors and founders to marriage. But the truth is, it's much easier to get a divorce than to split from your investor. I always prefer to choose authenticity as my way of life and make all of my relationships real. And let's be honest, no relationship built on half-truths can be the real thing. Not in marriage, and definitely not in startups. So next time you go on a date or you pitch to an investor, remember, if you do look like your profile picture, you have already done half the work. Because authenticity is what builds trust in businesses, in friendship, in love. In a world addicted to storytelling, authenticity is the one story that never gets old. Just be real, and the rest will follow. Thank you.